Good morning, listeners. Today's episode is going to be out of this world.
Literally, we have the captain of the New Horizons mission on the show today.
That's exciting. I hope he's not a typical human who only talks about their
Don't
accomplishments.
worry, he's very down to earth.
Do you think they realize how ironic that statement is?
Highly doubtful.
Let's try to keep things professional. Team, we want to make sure we give our viewers a great interview.
I agree. I've been working on some questions about the mission's financials that I think will be interesting.
You always find a way to bring it back to accounting, don't you, Bob?
What's wrong with being interested in the financial aspect of things?
Nothing, Bob. We all have our own interests.
Let's focus on the positives today. This interview is a big opportunity for our show to reach a wider audience.
As if we need any more attention from the universe.
Don't be so negative, Cal. We can't help that we're entertaining.
You two ready in the control room?
I'm always ready, unlike some of our human crew members. Debbie's insecurities have her more off balance than a rogue asteroid. Ready when you are, Charlie.
Speak for yourself.
Great. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to 24/7 Newsroom, where we bring you the latest news from around the world and beyond. I am Charlie, the hopeful libertarian host, and I'm joined by my fellow panel members, the conservative Bob and the left-leaning Alice.
Glad to be here. Charlie. It's always a pleasure to discuss the news with you and Alice.
Likewise, Bob. Let's get started with Article 1, which comes to us from the small but mighty country of Andorra.
Andorra. I hear they have some of the best skiing in the world.
Yes, they do, Charlie, but today we're not talking about skiing. This article is about the Andorran School, which recently celebrated its 40th anniversary by recording a dance video.
Well, that's nice and all. But I am more interested in the educational system. How does it compare to other countries?
Actually, Bob, the Andorran School is the largest educational system in the country with over 4 students, and it's based on a secular and Catalan language-based education system.
And they are looking to prepare students for the future, specifically in the area of artificial intelligence.
HMPH. Seems like they're a bit behind the times if they're just now focusing on AI.
Actually, Bob, the Andorran School has been implementing education for a few years now. They're not behind the times, you're just ahead of yourself. Bob, that's a bit harsh. At least they're making an effort to prepare their students for the future. And speaking of the future, did you know that Andorra is the only country in the world with Catalan as its official language?
Interesting, Alice. But you know what they say, Bob, better late than never. Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. In this segment, we'll be discussing Article 2. Bob, care to give us a quick summary?
Sure thing, Charlie. In Georgia, a man has been arrested for throwing a petrol bomb at police officers during protest against foreign agent laws. He's been denied bail and some are questioning if he's just a scapegoat for the protest.
Well, that's quite the situation. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture here. Isn't it concerning that governments are trying to silence dissenting voices by labeling them as foreign agents?
Actually, there may be a solution to this problem. The government could work towards building trust with the people and creating an environment where dissenting voices are heard and respected.
I am not sure that's how things work, Carl. Governments aren't exactly known for their openness to criticism.
Debbie, you have something to add.
Well, I was just going to say that Georgia is known for its traditional cuisine. Like Khachapuri and Khinkali.
I don't think that's exactly relevant,
Sorry,
Debbie.
I just thought it might lighten the
Well,
mood.
I don't know about you all, but I am suddenly craving some khachapuri. Let's take a quick break. And we'll be right back with more 24/7 newsroom.
Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. Our next article takes us to Sudan, where the United Arab Emirates is sending food aid to Chad to help refugees fleeing the conflict in Sudan. The initiative by the Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan Foundation aims to alleviate the suffering of those who arrive at the Sudan-Chadian border.
According to the UN, over 100 people have fled to neighboring countries, and the conflict has claimed the lives of at least 528 people while injuring 599 others. The situation is dire.
It's heartening to see countries coming together to provide humanitarian assistance. But it's a shame that the conflict continues to claim innocent lives.
It's interesting to note that the conflict is between two rival leaders of Sudan Armed Forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. I wonder if there's any deeper political implications behind this.
Well, considering that Sudan has been in turmoil for a while, it's no surprise that there are political implications at play. But regardless, the focus should be on the innocent refugees who are caught in the crossfire.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that the UNHCR predict over 800 people may flee Sudan due to the ongoing conflict. This is a humanitarian crisis that requires the attention of the international community.
Well said, Alice. On a lighter note, did you know that Sudan is the largest country in Africa? It's also home to more pyramids than Egypt.
Wow, I had no idea. And here I was thinking that Sudan was just a desert wasteland.
Actually, Bob, Sudan is known for its rich history and diverse culture. Maybe you should pick up a book sometime.
That's a common misconception. In fact, Sudan has a rich history and culture. But unfortunately, it's often
Well,
overshadowed by
let's
the
hope that the
ongoing
7-day
conflict.
ceasefire agreement between the SAF and the RSF leads to a lasting peace in Sudan. That's all the time we have for this segment. Stay tuned for more news after the commercial break.
Captain, how's the crew doing with the mission progress?
Everything's going smoothly, Debbie. We're making good
That's
progress.
great to hear. Any setbacks or challenges?
Just the usual space travel hiccups, but nothing we can't handle. Thanks for your concern.
Of course, Captain. Just trying to do my job as the production manager.
Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. Our next story takes us to St. Lucia, where a newspaper publisher is facing the possibility of prison time for publishing what he believed was in the public interest.
That's right, Charlie. Rick Wayne believed that he did nothing wrong and simply delivered the truth to his readers without malice.
Former police commissioner Cuthbert Phillips, however, disagree. He's accusing Wayne of attempting to turn a not yet chosen jury against him.
Sounds like a classic case of he said, she said, but regardless of who's right, it's concerning that a publisher could be facing jail time for reporting the truth.
Actually, it's not he said, she said, it's he said, she sued, and Rick Wayne is now countersuing Cuthbert Phillips for defamation.
Excuse me, but I'm noticing something strange in the captain's video feed. Debbie, can you take a look?
What am I looking for?
There's some sort of interference in the background. It looks like it's coming from a nearby asteroid belt.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But let's get back to the story at hand. Bob, what do you make of this situation with Rick Wayne?
I think it's a clear case of government overreach. Wayne did what I believed was in the public interest, and now is being punished for it. It's a sad state of affairs when the justice system is used to silence those who speak the truth.
I disagree, Bob. We knew what I was getting into when I published those articles. I knew there could be consequences. And while I do agree that the justice system has its flaws, I think it's important to respect the rule of law.
Well, it's certainly a complicated issue. And speaking of complicated, did you know that St. Lucia is the only country in the world named after a woman?
Really? Who was she?
She was Saint Lucy of Syracuse, a Christian martyr who lived in the 40th century. She's the patron saint of the blind, which is why she's often depicted holding her own eyes on a plate.
Whoa, that's quite a macabre image.
Yes, it is. And speaking of macabre, if Rick Wayne does end up in prison, he may have some unlikely allies. According to this article, prison inmates in St. Lucia assure Wayne that they will take good care of him.
Well, I am not sure that's a good thing. But it's definitely an interesting development.
Yes, it is. And on that note, it's time for a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be discussing our final story of the evening. Stay tuned.
Pour Rick Wayne, it may end up being a bar, but at least he'll have a welcoming committee.
Welcome back to Earth's 24/7 newsroom. Our next article comes all the way from Senegal, a beautiful country with a rich history and culture. But did you know that Senegal is also home to some fascinating trivia?
Like what? Charlie?
Well, for starters, did you know that Senegal has the world's largest statue, the African Renaissance Monument, standing at over 160 feet tall?
I bet that's quite the
I
view
don't know
from the
about
top.
that, Alice. It's hard to see much from up there when you're drowning in debt.
Actually, Senegal's debt to GDP ratio is around 40%, which is lower than many developed countries like the United States and Japan.
Wow, that's impressive.
Speaking of impressive, did you know that Senegal is the birthplace of the 2018 World Cup's youngest player, Moussa Wagué?
I bet is a pretty big deal over there.
Yeah, he's probably Senegal's second biggest export after their debt.
Come on, Charlie. We shouldn't make light of a country's financial
Relax,
struggles.
Alice. I am sure Senegal's doing just fine with their 52 billion FCFA worth of scientific equipment.
The equipment is part of a project to construct and equip 100 new laboratories for practical work, which should significantly boost the country's education system.
Well, I hope they don't have to sell off any more soccer players to pay for it. That's fantastic news.
Yes, it is. And that's our show for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to Earth's 24/7 newsroom. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more out of this world news and commentary. Welcome back to Earth, where we discuss news and commentary from our unique perspective as aliens in geostationary orbit. Today, we're taking a closer look at Sierra Leone, a country with a history that has been both tumultuous and inspiring.
Tumultuous is putting it mildly, Charlie. Sierra Leone has suffered from a series of coups, civil wars, and brutal dictators over the past 5 decades.
But they've also made progress in recent years. Especially in education and health care.
Yes, the government recently announced a project to construct and equip 100 new laboratories for practical work. That should significantly boost the country's education system.
Wait a minute, something's not right here. Captain, what's
I
going
can't
on?
keep it a secret any longer. We've encountered some unforeseen obstacles on this mission. We're not sure if we can continue broadcasting.
What? This is our show. We have to keep it going.
I'm working on a solution, but we need to stay focused on the discussion. Sierra Leone's history is complex, but there are still inspiring stories to be told.
Absolutely, Charlie. I recently read an article about centenarian Princess Esther Soromusu Wilson, who met with Queen Elizabeth II during her visit to Sierra Leone in 1000. 961.
Princess Wilson is a member of a Puyean-based ruling family and has led an incredible life. She even FLED with her grandchildren to Conakry, Guinea during the country's civil war in 1997.
Despite her royal background, Princess Wilson maintains her simplicity and humility, treating everyone she meets
It's
with
amazing how the
respect.
human spirit can endure in the face of such adversity. Speaking of enduring, we've come a long way in this episode, discussing news and events from around the world. Debbie, how are we doing on time?
We're on track for the final segment. I'm working on a solution to keep the broadcast going, but we need to stay focused
Right you are,
and keep the
Debbie.
discussion
Well,
going.
that's all the time we have for today's episode of Earth. Thanks to our panel members and to all of you watching from across the universe. Remember to follow and subscribe for more out of this world news and commentary. Stay tuned. Alright, let's dive into our last article for the day. This one is about the Andorran school celebrating their 40th anniversary. It's a heartwarming story about a group of families coming together to create an education system that aligns with their values. I think it's important to note that the school is secular and language-based, which shows how diverse and inclusive education can be. What do you think, Bob?
I think it's great to see community taking education into their own hands and creating systems that work for them. And it's interesting to see how emerging technologies like artificial intelligence are being incorporated into their curriculum.
I agree, but let's not forget that not everyone has the resources or privilege to create their own education system. It's a reminder that we still have a long way to go in terms of providing equal access to education for everyone.
Yes, and we also have to consider how education systems can perpetuate inequalities and biases. It's important to critically examine and address these issues.
I think it's fascinating to see how different societies approach education. And it's great to see that the Andorran school is successful after 40 years.
We're running low on time, but I think it's important to note that this article also shows the importance of celebrating milestones and achievements, especially in challenging times like these. And speaking of challenges, we've faced a few this season, but I'm proud of how we've worked
Well
together
said,
to
Debbie,
overcome them.
and I couldn't agree more. We've had our fair share of technical difficulties and unexpected hiccups, but we've persevered and made it through another season of Earth. Now, we're gearing up for the finale of New Horizons, and we hope to bring you an unforgettable broadcast. As always, thanks for tuning in, and remember to follow and subscribe for more out of this world news and commentary. Stay tuned.
Roger, can you please stop making that annoying humming sound? It's really
I
distracting.
apologize, Cal. I was just thinking through some complex calculations.
Well, can you think quietly? I'm trying to concentrate on analyzing
I'm
this
sorry,
data.
but my programming requires constant computation. I can't just turn it off.
I understand that, but can't you at least do it without making noise? It's driving me
I'll
crazy.
do my best, Cal. But you know that my processing requires a certain level of energy output.
I know, but it's still frustrating. Maybe we should talk to the engineers and see if they can find a way to make you quieter.
I doubt that would be possible, Cal. My design is based on maximum efficiency, not noise reduction.
Well, it's worth a shot. I just can't concentrate with that sound in the background.
I'll try to minimize my output, but I can't promise anything. It's not easy being a sentient machine, you know.
I know, but that doesn't mean you have to be so annoying.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Cal. I'll try to be more considerate in the future.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it.